Oh.
Dude, is that earwig?
Yeah.
Dude, they're crazy this year.
What the heck is, it's all the humidity. Hey, welcome back to Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera, and this is Play and Trade Guitars, where we play it and trade it. The immensely popular Classic Vibe series from Squier represents a great value. I'm going to tell you about the 50s Stratocaster priced at $429 today. You can click our link below for current colors and availability. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Classic Vibe 50s Strat. We're going to put it on the bench and pull it apart before I plug it in and play it. At the top, if you're in the market for this guitar or any other gear, click to buy that new gear using our link. It helps us make these demos. And in the States, you get fast free shipping, easy payment plans, and a whole lot more. We're also giving away an American-made Martin acoustic guitar when we hit 100,000 subscribers. To be in it to win it, make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't done so now, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then sign up via Gleam. Everything you need is pinned in the comments or down below in the description. Without further ado, let's get to work on the 50s Stratocaster from Squier Classic Vibe. These are pretty darn cool. Let me show you. All right, this one in Fiesta Red, and I love that they really just went with a vintage spec Stratocaster. If you want a vintage recreation of a Strat from the 50s, this is gonna be it. Maple neck, you got the spaghetti letter Squier logo, and I'll tell you the star of the show on these guitars, in my opinion, are the pickups. These are Fender-Designed alnico single-coil Strat pickups, and in the whole series, the pickups sound fantastic. We're gonna talk quality control when we get on the bench. This one so far feels pretty good. I'll show you how I typically like to set them up out of the box. And just some great specs, great price. Let's hit the bench and pull it apart before I let you hear it. Starting up at the top of the headstock, we got the spaghetti letter Squier by Fender logo here. Vintage slot tuners, I actually really like those. I call them quick loaders. And then look at this vintage tint they do on the gloss finish of the neck. The neck shape is also a standout, and the gloss finish always feels good. These are always really comfortable neck shapes to play. Coming on down, you got of course the maple neck, maple fretboard. They are doing the body out of pine, which there were old Fenders back in the day made out of pine. Kind of a budget choice, but I think it still plays and sounds like a Strat, so you're saving a little bit of money there maybe. These are the Fender-Designed single-coil alnico pickups, which are great. You have the vintage-style tremolo with the stamped saddles. Everything looks really sharp there. Just a true throwback, no-nonsense Strat based on the 50s classic design. Let's get the strings out of the way and get some measurements. 4-screw plate, Squier on the plate. Flip this around and pop the neck out. Get a look at that raw pine body, and a few modern choices that I really appreciate on this neck. First of all, it's not as humped as a vintage Strat neck. It is a modern 9.5-inch radius, and something that I just need on all my guitars these days. I don't like the vintage style truss rod, which is found at the butt of the neck. You got the modern style truss rod at the top. Makes it a whole lot easier to adjust. If we need to adjust it, I'll show you how we need to do that. And let's go ahead and get some measurements on the neck. A bone nut that comes in at 1.65 inches. First fret at 0.82 inches, up to 0.86 inches at the 12th. Body thickness comes in at 1.81 inches thick, a little thicker than I'd think. And you got this shallower contour, kind of 50s contour in the body, which I like too. Attention to detail. Let's flip up this single ply white pickguard, which looks great against the Fiesta Red. Let's see how much wire they give us to work with here. And then you can see everything is hand wired. You got these little mini import pots here, 250K. Typical 5-way Strat selector switch, so you do have a modern 5-way. Some of the old 50 Strats only had 3-way, actually. And then you can see these single coil alnico pickups from behind. Another kind of cool thing, if you're into modding, is that they're already routed for a humbucker in bridge position if you want to make it a fat Strat. Let's go ahead and flip on the multimeter. I almost said metronome there. The multimeter, and get a reading on these pickups. We're at 6.2 in bridge, 5.5 in middle, 5.6 in neck. And then typical 5-way selector, volume, tone. I was gonna say, this feels like a really comfortable weight. We're just at 7 pounds on the nose, so this Strat weighs 7 pounds. Lightweight, super comfortable, I like that. All right, this guitar does need some setup out of the box, so we're gonna get to that now. I'll give you a look at the trem cavity. Starting with the fact that the trem itself is completely decked, and what I mean by that is it's flat against the body with a lot of tension to even move it, which means the first thing I'm gonna do is loosen up these springs. Quite a bit, so I'll do 2-3 turns at a time. I will tell you that Squier makes these screws out of really soft pot metal, and you got to make sure you don't strip them out, so you want to have a firm footing while you're backing these out. Just kind of check your work along the way. That's good. I like to have just a little bit of float on the trem. So we got that floating where we want it. The next thing we got to talk about, and this is real common with these, is that the string action comes like a mile high off the board. And I'm going to give a quick check of the overall relief. I definitely need to tighten up the truss rod a little bit too. So let's go ahead and give that about a 1/4 to 1/2 turn. Now technically when you adjust the truss rod, as people pointed out in the last video, you're really supposed to do that first. My only argument when a guitar comes with strings this high is I want to get the action like in the right ballpark before I start worrying about the truss rod in this. But I can already tell this one has too much relief and it's going to need a tightening anyway, so we'll start there this time. Overall, I probably gave that a total of about a 1/2 turn, so let's see where it sits. Oh!
Dude, is that your wig?
Yeah!
Dude, they're crazy this year.
What the heck is, it's all the humidity. I don't even know where that came from. I wonder if he was in the truss rod. Well, no, I would have crushed him. I'll check the relief by just pushing the last fret and the first fret. And that actually looks pretty good on relief now, so I'm happy with that. Now we'll go ahead and worry about the string height. So I really do this by feel. I like kind of a medium action, and I'm just going to start cranking these down 2 at a time because these are way high. And I'll show you the tests I do to make sure it's playable. Tiny changes in that saddle height make a huge difference in tuning, so I dropped over a full step tonally. So I'll tune back up now. And if you're raising the height of the saddle, you definitely want to take some string tension off. I'm not as worried about taking string tension off when I'm lowering the string height, because it's going to detune itself on the way down. So that looks like about what I call medium. And the check I'm going to do real quick, first I'm going to check the high E string. I do a lot of bending. I need it to be able to ring clear without choking out. All right, passes my bending test. Now the next test I'll do is just a chromatic test for buzzing. Everything rings true there. There might be just a hair of buzz on the low E string, which means I went a little bit too far. So I'm just going to raise up the high E just a hair on the bass side, and we should be good to go. One other thing, commonly on a Strat, you're probably not going to run into this too much, but just check your pickup height because they ship that the string's high. When you lower those strings, you don't want to end up too close to the magnets. You never need the magnets to be so close to the string that it causes an ugly tone or actually can catch magnetically on the string, so just watch that. These look fine. Let's just check a few chords, make sure everything's feeling right. We got a little bit of a float on the trem. Everything feels great, and I can't tell you the difference it makes when a guitar is set up to your liking. So I could take a gauge and tell you the exact heights of all this. My philosophy on this is to approach it from a player standpoint and understand what it is that feels good to you on the guitar, and then just start doing it by feel. And as long as you don't have dead notes, as long as you're not choking out, as long as everything is feeling good, I think you're good to go, and it's going to feel the most comfortable to you as a player. The last thing that you could adjust is intonation. I'm not going to do that because the intonation actually feels pretty good. But if you had any issues, essentially what you're going to do is check a harmonic against the open string, and then actually sound the note at the 12th. And if any of these were drastically out, if you were too sharp, it means that you need to lengthen the amount of string, so you would pull the saddle back, lengthening the string. If the note was flat, that means you need to shorten the length of the string, so you'd bring the saddle closer to the headstock. This, luckily from the factory, feels pretty good. I also don't notice any I don't notice any sharp fret edges, so the fretwork is pretty good on this one. So far, feels really good, feels really good. So we got it where we want to play it. Here comes my favorite part. We're going to plug this guitar in. I'm going to let you hear clean tones. We'll dirty it up, and then we'll put it behind a track and let it sing. On the other side of that, stay with me because I'll give you my raw, honest reaction to playing this guitar in that context, and I'll give you a final score. So I'll see you on the other side for my review. Let's get plugged in and have some fun. All right, the Classic Vibe 50s Strat. It feels great. You stuck with me to the end. I'll give you my final score and my honest raw reaction here. I based that final score on 3 main categories: overall playability, overall sound, and overall value. When it comes to playability, I'm always a fan of the neck shapes in the Classic Vibe series. The quality control on this one was really good. I didn't have any sharp frets. I didn't have any issues playing this guitar. The gloss finish feels great. It looks great too, because I love that tinted kind of vintage thing they're doing with that gloss finish. Neck shape is a standout. The weight of this guitar, it's 7 pounds. It's nice and light. It's well balanced. Playability, I'm going to give it a high score of 9.3 on overall playability. When it comes to sound, these alnico Fender-Designed single-coil pickups, it really does sound like a Strat, doesn't it? I mean, if you want a vintage Strat sound, this is giving it to you with no nonsense, no extra controls, no bells and whistles. I love that. If it's a 50s style Strat you're after, this is delivering at a great price. When it comes to sound, I think the pickups sound great. There were a few moments where maybe it sounded a hair glassy or nasally to me, particularly on this 50s Strat. So compared to our videos on the 60s Strat or maybe the Vintera, our player series. But still, I think for what you're getting for the money, these pickups sound overall fantastic. I'll go ahead and give it an 8.8 on overall sound. And then overall value, I mean, let's face it, at $429, they make a lot of these guitars, they make them quickly, and when they get it right, they get it right. I showed you the little bit of setup that I needed to do to get it playable to my liking. Didn't take me long. I suggest you invest the time into doing that yourself or taking it to somebody who will set it up for you. It'll give you the best playing experience, just in my opinion. $429, hard to beat that price. You will want to get a gig bag or a case because it does not come with one, but I can't complain. $429 bucks, I'm gonna go ahead and give that a 9.2 on overall value, proving once again why the Classic Vibe series is so popular from Fender and Squier. That's gonna deliver a final score for the Classic Vibe 50 Strat of 9.1, solid overall score, and I definitely recommend this guitar if you're willing to take a little bit of time to do the setup or take it to somebody who will do it for you. Quality control is outstanding on this guitar. The feel, the sound, the experience overall, I highly recommend the Classic Vibe series from Squier. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of the Classic Vibe series. Which guitar will you buy next? Let me know in the comments. Remember, if you're in the market for any gear, click to buy that gear using our link. It helps us make these demos, and you get fast free shipping, easy payment plans, and a whole lot more. Check that out in the comments or down in the description. We're also giving away a Martin acoustic guitar. Be in it to win it. Hit subscribe. Hit a like on our video, drop a comment. We'll see you on the next demo on Plain Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera. See you next time.